Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. Today I just want to make a quick video to help a lot of you new homeschooling parents out there who have littles. I'm going to share with you how to homeschool kindergarten in 30 minutes or less. You're probably thinking 30 minutes or less. Well, you know what? It's true. We've been seeing a lot of people posting about how long it's taking them to homeschool kindergarten and how it's taking them only an hour to do one worksheet. And that's why I really want to encourage those of you who want to try actual private homeschooling, because it does not take 4 hours to homeschool your kindergartner, nor should it take 4 hours to homeschool your kindergartner. I want you to remember two things as I'm going through this. First of all, chill out. Your kindergartner does not need to have an entire list of textbooks that you are going to be doing every single day with them. It hurts my heart to see lists of curriculum that parents post for their 5-year-olds that include, 3 different types of language arts books, plus a math book, plus a science book, plus a social studies book, plus a health book, plus an art curriculum, music curriculum. Parents, it does not have to be like that for your 5-year-old. Chill out. The second thing that I want you to remember is that even though I am telling you that you can homeschool your kindergartner in 30 minutes or less, remember that that is structured learning time. Children learn all the time. If they are awake, they are learning. So just because the things that you are doing specifically with your kids only take maybe 20 to 30, sometimes 45 minutes a day, depending on what you're doing with them, it does not mean that that's all they're learning in a day. Your kids at this age are still really inquisitive. They're still really curious. Take advantage of that, because this is the time that your kids are learning most through play and through interacting in everyday life. They do not need to have an entire list of curriculum to make sure that they're learning things properly. I was not homeschooled for any of my grades. I was going to say for kindergarten, but I wasn't homeschooled at all. I went to public school. And do you know what I want to tell you that I remember about kindergarten? I remember about kindergarten that I used to sit on the teacher's aide's lap every single day and cry for my mom. Every day that happened. The other thing that I remember from kindergarten is that when we would have playtime, which at that point in time, there was a lot of playtime still in kindergarten. Nowadays, they're saying that kindergarten is the new first grade, which is sad. But when I went, there was still a lot of playtime. And so another thing that I remember is that I was always made to pretend to be the baby when we were playing house with my classmates, because I was always the shortest kid in class. Those are the two things that I remember about kindergarten. I don't remember any of the lessons that we did. I don't remember any of the curriculum that we used. I don't even remember any of the songs that we sang. But besides those things in kindergarten, you know what I do remember from that age? I remember when I was at home with my mom and I was sitting on her lap and she would read to me. My mom read to me a lot. And I remember how soothing her voice used to be, to just listen to her, to hear her, to watch these interesting stories, and to have her read them to me, book after book after book. And that is what I want you to keep in mind when I talk to you about how to homeschool your kindergartner. Because you know what? It can even be argued that kids who are 5 years old don't really need structured learning time at all. Since they have that curiosity, since they are natural explorers, a lot of kids are really going to do a fantastic job of picking things up on their own, whether you try to do anything with them or not. But I do know that a lot of parents do want to start homeschooling their kids at this age. I have always started homeschooling my kids when they were in kindergarten, but it has always been a very short duration of the day that I homeschooled my kids, because I always kept in mind all of these things that I have learned about children who are 5 and 6, and sometimes even a little bit older than that. So here is how to homeschool a kindergartner. Read to them a lot. And if you don't enjoy reading to them, get them some audiobooks or let them watch some videos on YouTube where someone is reading aloud to them. But I do want to encourage you as the parent, even if you don't like reading aloud to your kids, do it. Do it for your kids, because as I mentioned before, that is one of the most heartwarming memories that I have of me and my mom. My mom is now 85 years old, and I still remember looking back at my time with her when I was 5 and listening to her read a book. And that is a memory that you can give to your child. Reading is not only good for bonding, though, it also introduces your children to reading. A lot of times they like to watch you read. A lot of times they're following with their eyes to see where you are. They see where you stop and when you turn the page. Sometimes they might ask you how to sound out words. These are all things that can naturally happen when you are just sitting there and spending that time with your child. Beyond reading to your kids, really the only things that you need to work on are the foundational skills, reading and math. And that is what you need to worry about. You don't need to worry about a science textbook. You don't need to worry about a social studies textbook. You don't need to worry about any sort of curriculum at all beyond just getting your kids to learn their letter sounds if they are ready. And you know what? I can't stress that enough. If your 5-year-old seems like they just aren't ready to start reading yet, give them time. Do not force it on them, because if they are sitting there crying, and if you are sitting there getting frustrated and you find yourself getting angry with them, it is only going to make things worse, and it is going to make them hate reading when they're older. So that is one thing I want to point out, that yeah, you should start, teaching them their letters, their ABCs, how to write their letters, what sounds they make. But if it seems like they are getting overwhelmed, they just might not be developmentally ready yet, and that is fine. Put it off until they show signs that they are ready. Beyond that, though, just work on a little bit of math with them. Get them a little math workbook. And I just want to, remind you that doing math with your kindergartner shouldn't take 45 minutes. Spend about 5 to 10 minutes a day teaching your kids math. You can get them workbooks from the dollar store. I really like Abeka Arithmetic for my kindergartner because it is spiral-based learning. What they do is, instead of just repeating the same thing every single day over and over and over again, is that they do something different on the page. So for example, they might do a little bit of adding, a little bit of subtracting, a little bit of telling time, a little bit of counting money. And that's what it goes on every day. And it just builds upon the new things that they're learning, so they don't get bored doing the same things over and over again. But yeah, just get a little math curriculum, spend 5 or 10 minutes. If they really like it, you can spend more. But if you see that they are struggling with it, remember, they are 5. And they always talk about how the best schools are the schools in Finland. And I'm going to give you a little secret. Finland does not start their students, I'm pretty sure, until they are 7 years old. So just keep that in mind. Really, your kids are fine if they don't feel like doing math for 20, 30, 45 minutes a day at this point. A lot of older kids don't even like doing it for that long every day. But if you are consistent with them, they are going to learn. And especially if they see you working it into your everyday life. Talk about these things as you're playing with them. Talk about these things as you're baking with them, or as you're maybe going for walks, counting your steps. You can incorporate all of these things into your everyday life. But when it comes to that structured sit-down learning time, when you consider yourself to be homeschooling your kids, even though homeschooling is not a part of life, it's a way of life. But I do recognize that a lot of families, us included, do have a separate part of the day that you set aside to do these things. Read to your kids, work on phonics and reading with them, work on math. The rest of the stuff, all of that social studies that you think you have to teach your kids, all of that science that you feel like you have to teach your kids, the health, the art, a lot of these things just come naturally. A lot of kids love to draw. They love to draw on the sidewalk. They love to paint. They love to make Play-Doh. Do these things with them. They like to sing. Sing with them, or let them sing. There are so many sing-alongs on YouTube right now. And science, they're learning science as they're out in the backyard, looking for bugs, planting flowers with you, picking flowers as they're on a walk so that they can give them to you so that you put them in your hair. That is science. As they are interacting with people in their community, learning about the different ways that people live, that is social studies. And they can also easily pick these things up, even on documentaries that they might be watching with you. If you would prefer to approach those things, though, in a more structured way, build it into that reading time with your kids. So I have some examples of some books that you can use for either social studies or history and science if you don't want to, just trust that they are going to learn these things naturally, and they will. But work it into that reading time that you're going to be doing with your kids anyway. So a good example of that would be Crow Boy. Another one that I have here, The Many Lives of Benjamin Franklin. For science, I have Flash, Crash, Rumble, and Roll. Clouds. Mountains and volcanoes. You don't need a textbook for your kids to learn these things. You don't need worksheets for your kids to learn these things. They don't need to be doing homework to be learning. I'm so serious when I tell you that it is a disservice to your little one if you expect them to sit down at this age and to do 2 or 3 hours of work. It is not only going to be frustrating for them, but it is going to be frustrating for you. And what will happen is that love of learning that they have is going to fade away quicker and quicker and quicker the more that you are rushing them to do things that they don't need to do. So again, reading to your kids, teaching them to read, working on math, and let your kids just learn everything else through play, through interacting with them through life, and just doing those little activities that they find fun and that you would do together anyway. That's all that your kindergartner needs. Anyway, that's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave one over on Instagram because YouTube disabled my comments. And if you like my work and would like to check out my Patreon page, I will leave a link in the description box for that as well. And I hope you have a great day.